The rhythmic clatter of train wheels lulled Mia into a trance. She had always found comfort in the hum of late-night commutes, the world quiet, her thoughts uninterrupted. Tonight, though, a strange unease settled over her. The train was emptier than usual. A man in a rumpled suit snored softly a few seats away, and a woman stared blankly out the window, her face illuminated by the dim glow of passing streetlights. Mia checked her watch. 11:47 p.m. Only a few stops left before her station. She closed her eyes, resting her head against the cool glass, and let exhaustion take over. When she woke, the train was silent. Too silent. Her eyes fluttered open, but the world was black. The hum of the engine had vanished, the faint buzz of the lights replaced by an oppressive quiet. She sat up, her pulse quickening, and fumbled for her phone. The screen wouldn't turn on. "Hello?" she called, her voice trembling. A low whisper answered from the darkness, "Close, too close." "Don't open your eyes." Mia froze, her heart pounding. The voice was hoarse, urgent, as though whoever spoke was barely holding it together. "What? Who's there?" "Listen to me," the voice hissed. "They'll know you're awake. Keep your eyes shut." "Who?" "Quiet." The whisper cut her off. "You can't let them hear you. Keep still. Don't open your eyes. If you do, they'll take you too." Mia's breath hitched. She wanted to demand answers, but something in the voice, something broken and terrified, kept her mouth shut. She clenched her fists, resisting the urge to open her eyes, and strained to hear through the suffocating silence. The faintest sound reached her ears, footsteps, soft and deliberate, moving closer. "Stay calm," the whisper said. "They can't sense you if you don't move." "Who are they?" Mia breathed, barely audible. "The shadows," the voice replied. "They come when the lights die. They hunt for anyone awake. If you open your eyes, they'll see you. If you make a sound, they'll hear you. Just stay still." Mia nodded instinctively, then cursed herself. What if the movement betrayed her? The footsteps grew louder, circling her seat. Her body screamed at her to run, to fight, but she couldn't see anything, couldn't even trust that she was alone. A shuffling sound passed directly behind her. She felt the faintest brush of cold air on her neck. "They're here," the voice whispered. "They're always here when the train goes dark. Everyone else, gone. It's just us now. And if you—" The whisper cut off abruptly, replaced by a wet, choking gasp. Mia's hands flew to her mouth, muffling her terrified cry. Something heavy hit the floor nearby, the sickening sound of flesh and bone collapsing. The air thickened, heavy with an unidentifiable stench. Mia clung to the voice's instructions, tears streaming down her face. "Don't move. Don't open your eyes." Minutes passed, or maybe hours. She couldn't tell. The shuffling sounds continued, punctuated by faint, guttural growls. Her legs cramped from staying still, but she didn't dare shift. Finally, the train jerked forward. The hum of the engine returned, and with it, the fluorescent lights flickered back on. Mia's eyes snapped open, desperate to confirm she was safe. The carriage was empty. The man and the woman she'd seen earlier were gone, their seats unervingly pristine. In the aisle, a smear of dark red led to the doors. The train pulled into her station, its doors sliding open with a cheery chime. Mia bolted, her legs barely holding her weight as she stumbled onto the platform. She didn't look back, not until she reached her apartment and locked the door behind her. For the next few nights, she didn't sleep. The faint hum of trains passing in the distance sent shivers down her spine. And then, at 3:03 a.m., she heard a whisper in her room, "Don't open your eyes." Mia's blood ran cold. She froze in place, her breaths shallow, straining her ears to pinpoint the source of the voice. It was the same hoarse whisper from the train, but now it was impossibly close, inside her room. Her bed creaked ever so slightly, as if something was shifting its weight beside her. Her heart hammered in her chest, each beat louder than the last, drowning out all thought. "MIA," the voice whispered again, her name drawn out like a warning. She squeezed her eyes shut, clutching the blanket tightly. She wanted to scream, to run, but her body was paralyzed with fear. The air in the room seemed heavier now, pressing down on her chest. There was movement, barely perceptible, but she could feel it. Something, or someone, was circling her bed, the faint shuffle of feet brushing against the floor. "You saw too much," the voice rasped. "They know." Mia's mind raced. "Saw what?" "I didn't open my eyes. I didn't." The memory of the train came flooding back. The blood on the floor. The absence of passengers. The flicker of the lights just before she ran. She had opened her eyes then, just for a moment. A sharp sound, a click, like nails tapping against wood, cut through the silence. The presence in the room grew stronger, more oppressive. "You can't escape," the whisper said, low and taunting now. "They marked you." Mia's throat tightened. She wanted to ask who or what they were, but she dared not speak. She didn't need the voice to explain, she could feel them. The shadows from the train. The things that had taken the others. They were here. The tapping grew louder, erratic, as if circling faster. The room grew colder, her breath visible in the dim light filtering through her curtains. And then, the sound stopped. Mia's ears strained against the silence. It was too quiet again, like on the train. Her heart sank as the bed dipped beside her. A whisper, softer now, brushed against her ear. "They're waiting." Her body acted on instinct. She flung herself from the bed, stumbling in the dark toward the door. Her trembling hands found the doorknob, twisting frantically. It wouldn't budge. Behind her, the tapping resumed, now accompanied by a guttural growl. She pressed her forehead against the door, tears streaming down her face. "Please," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Leave me alone." Silence. Then came a sound that made her stomach drop, a low chuckle, deep and hollow, like it was resonating from a cavern. "You should have listened," the voice hissed, its tone dripping with malice. The room exploded with noise. Tapping, growling, whispers all around her, closing in. She screamed, covering her ears, but it was no use. The shadows had found her. And this time, there was no one to tell her to keep her eyes shut.